All right, if you're a crypto investor, there are two big stories today that you want to talk about. The first one is the headlines around Zcash, where their entire development team has left. Basically, the main developers have basically quit, and those are the headlines. And if you look at the charts on Zcash, that's what the chart looks like on Zcash. It's gone down about 20% in the last 24 hours. And then the next big headline is tomorrow, because tomorrow, the Supreme Court rules as to whether Trump's tariffs were actually legal. And if Trump's tariffs are not illegal, then what is that actually going to do to the markets? And remember, tomorrow's Friday, and you know what happens on Fridays with big tariff news, or with big news, which includes tariff news. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today is almost like you could say like a two for the price of one. There's the Zcash news, and I'm going to break down the Zcash news for you very, 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 very concisely and very, very slowly. I'm going to show you whether it's an opportunity today or whether you should be selling all your Zcash. And then we're going to talk about the Trump tariffs and the Supreme Court ruling to decide whether or not it can actually move markets tomorrow and how you should prepare yourself. So, big show today, guys. Let's get the show on the road. Never a dull day if you're a crypto investor. And if you are still a crypto investor, let me know in the chat, because it feels like a lot of crypto investors have left. They've basically given up. The sideways chop has basically knocked them down. And I think at some stage, not today, but at some stage, we're going to have a discussion as to whether we are in a bear market, or whether this is, or whether there is an uptrend ahead of us, or whether this is just a correction or something like that. That we'll do another day. Today is a big day, and I think today we need to talk about the big news of the day and the big news which is going to happen tomorrow. The big news of today, undoubtedly, is this Zcash story, where effectively the developers have all just resigned, or the Zcash core developers have all just resigned. And I guess the big question here is whether this is true or whether this is FUD, and whether you should actually be buying the dip. And I'm going to break that down for you, because I've got a lot of inside scoop. I've been on a lot of phone calls today. I've spoken to a lot of insiders, and I can tell you exactly what's going on today. And then we'll talk about the Trump tariff. So listen, guys, first things first. If you are new to the channel, subscribe to the channel. Join probably the most active community in the world. There are 1.185 million subscribers to the channel. Also, if you're here, help me out here by just hitting the like button, because as I said before, the YouTube algo doesn't realize that I was away and now I'm back, and so it isn't circulating the content as much. But when you hit the like button, it kind of gives energy to the YouTube algorithm, and it really helps the distribution of the show. I'm waiting for the likes, guys. I'm waiting. All right, let's talk about the first stories first. Zcash. And this morning, investors woke up to these headlines. Zcash developers quit, form new company after board clash. Privacy coin Zcash sinks 20% after core developer team quits. Zcash's main developers quit without warning. Zcash faces its biggest test yet. And this is what the chart looks like. The chart, if we looked at Zcash yesterday or 2 days ago, it was at $500. Now it's 20% down, trading at exactly $400. And it was as low as $377 on the news today. Where did this news actually come from? Where does this news of the Zcash developers walking out actually come from? Well, it comes from this tweet over here, which is from a guy called 𝗏𝗏. He says, over the past few weeks, it's become clear that the majority of the Bootstrap board members, non-profit created to support Zcash by governing the electric company, blah, blah, blah. Basically, he says, have moved into clear misalignment of the mission of Zcash. He says, yesterday, the entire ECC team left after being constructively discharged by Zcam. In short, the terms of our employment were changed in a way that it made it impossible for us to perform our duties and effectively and with integrity. We're founding a new company, but we're still remaining with the same mission, etc., etc. And that's where this thing basically came from. Now, who is Josh? So Josh, if you look at his Twitter bio, it says former CEO of Electric Coin Co. And if you looked at his Twitter bio a few days ago, it said CEO of Electric Coin Co. And today I'm going to break down for you whether this is an opportunity or whether this is just a whole lot of fun. And in order for you to understand that, you need to understand the history of Zcash and what Zcash is, and how this whole story played down. So let's really talk about, in a nutshell, what is Zcash? Zcash is a network. It's a proof of work network like Bitcoin, except that it's private, right? It's a proof of work network, which means that blocks are mined, and every time a block is mined, the rewards go to the miners and a whole lot of other people. And It was created almost as a faster, cheaper, and compliantly private version of Bitcoin. And when I say compliantly private version of Bitcoin, it has a proof of work algorithm, it's much cheaper, it's much faster, and it has compliant privacy. Now, who was it actually created by? It was created by a whole bunch of founders, but amongst the founders is a guy called 𝗤𝗀, right? And he created the Zcash protocol, but he didn't do it under his own name. He did it through a company. And this company was called 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀. This was 𝗤𝗀's company, or the founder's company, which was set up to actually develop the Zcash protocol, which they developed. Fast forward to today, the Zcash protocol is developed. It's running. It has the support of a whole lot of really, really, really big names inside and outside of crypto. You know some of the names. 𝗙𝗏 𝗏 is a big supporter. 𝗏𝗏 is a big supporter. 𝗏𝗏𝗢 is a big supporter. The Winklevoss brothers are big supporters. And a whole lot of the old Bitcoin cypherpunk movement seem to have now taken on this new challenge of creating this private money, private proof of work money, which is where Bitcoin has basically failed us, right? Because Bitcoin is not really private. It's anonymous because of addresses, but ultimately the on-chain sleuths have tracked back lots of the challenges. And so now the old Bitcoin cypherpunk movement and some big names like Naval have started to support the Zcash protocol. And effectively, if I were to simplify it, is Zcash is private Bitcoin. I'm not going to talk too much about the technology today because that's not what today's show is about. Today is about what's going on at Zcash. Remember I said to you that this protocol was developed by a guy called 𝗤𝗀. And he developed it in this company called the 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀 company. And when he built this protocol, or this protocol is a proof of work protocol. Now, let's talk about the difference between a proof of work protocol and a proof of stake protocol. A proof of stake protocol, the tokens are pre-issued and given to investors, the foundation, etc., etc. In a proof of work protocol, the tokens only get released every time a block is mined. So very similar to Bitcoin. If you think about how Bitcoin works versus how Ethereum works, the Ethereum protocol, all the tokens are already out in circulation, right? With the Bitcoin protocol, or with ERC tokens, the tokens, you issue all your tokens in the beginning. With the proof of work protocol, the tokens don't exist until they're mined. So like today, there's like 19 million Bitcoin that are mined, and tomorrow there'll be slightly more because with every block, the algorithm actually issues more block rewards. So with a proof of stake protocol, like an Ethereum, like a whole lot of others, what happens is the tokens are held by the foundation, and the foundation sells those tokens to develop the protocol. With a proof of work protocol, you can't do that because you don't have the protocols that are pre-mined. And so what Zcash has is Zcash has, or had, this mechanism. And what they said is, with every block that is mined, 80% will go to the miners, 5% will go to the foundation, 7% will go to this company that mines, that built the protocol and is building a whole lot of other applications for the protocol. Because once this company called 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀𝗀 built the protocol, they also started to develop a whole lot of other things. They developed a wallet, a mobile wallet. They developed the 𝗧𝗏𝗏 wallet. They're developing a whole lot of other applications to actually make the protocol user-friendly. Kind of similar to what the ETH Foundation did. You know, like first they developed Ethereum, and then what they did was they developed a whole lot of other tools to make Ethereum actually usable. And the same thing happened with 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀𝗀. First they developed the protocol, and then they developed a whole lot of other applications to make the protocol actually useful. And how did they fund this? Well, every time a transaction or a block was mined, they would get 7% of the block reward to carry on funding the proposal. And for the longest time, 𝗤𝗀, who was the original founder, was actually part of 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀𝗀. The original founder, I think I showed you the tweet from him, he was part of 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀. Although he did leave in December 2023, and he started a new company, also building stuff on the Zcash protocol. Now, here's where it gets messy. In November 2024, the system changed, and the new change said that of every block that is mined, 80% goes to the miners, 8% goes to the 𝗔𝗔𝗔, and we'll talk about the 𝗔𝗔𝗔 in a second, and 12% goes not to the foundation, but it goes into a lockbox. What is a lockbox? Basically, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's every block that's mined, the tokens go into a box, which is locked, until they can agree what to do with the money. So remember that originally, this company called 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀𝗃 was getting 7% of every single block that was mined. And now, they're not getting anything. And where's the money going? Well, it's going into a lockbox. And when is this lockbox actually going to get released? Well, as of November 2024, 80% of the Zcash block reward is distributed to miners. 8% is distributed to the Zcash community grants, which is which is a board that gives grants to the community to fund the Zcash ecosystem. And 12% is distributed into a lockbox, a pool of issued funds tracked by the protocol. Okay, so with no disbursement mechanism currently defined, the Zcash community will need to decide upon and specify a suitable decentralized mechanism for permitting withdrawals from the lockbox. So in the old days, 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀 used to get 7% of all the blocks mined, and they used to use this money to build the protocol and to build certain applications that live on top of the protocol. Now, it goes into a lockbox, and they need to decide how to withdraw money from the lockbox. Okay, now you're starting to see where the problem is. The problem is that this 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀, who was getting all this money and was building so many applications, all of a sudden is not automatically getting the money. And so what's basically happening here, I'm going to read this tweet to you because I think it's quite a smart tweet. It said, the entire team, so let's go one step back. The founder Zuko left 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀, and Josh took over as the founder or took over as the CEO of 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀, okay? And him and a bunch of developers were running this 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀, but then they decided to sell or donate their shares to a non-profit organization. Now, read this. It says, I'm really excited that the legendary team at 𝗥𝗢𝗃 is regrouping under a new structure. Why? 𝗙𝗎𝗃 transitioned to a non-profit in a roundabout way, requiring shareholders to collectively donate their equity to a new non-profit. So you have this 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀, and the founders of 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀 want to convert 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗃𝗀𝗀 from a for-profit company to a non-profit company. And how did they do it? They all donated their shares to a new organization called Bootstrap. Now, what is Bootstrap? Bootstrap is an organization, a non-profit organization, which took control of this 𝗙𝗎𝗃, which is the company that built and developed Zcash and continued to build and develop Zcash. And they were converting it into a non-profit organization. He says, I remember as an engineer at 𝗙𝗎𝗃 that the entire process was annoying and confusing. I didn't pay much attention to it. It was odd to me that the shareholders thought they were donating anything to begin with. The real asset at 𝗙𝗎𝗃 was a team of engineers and cryptographers actually building Zcash. And our loyalty is to the mission. From my perspective, they spent months spilling ink and hiring lawyers to negotiate something that ultimately had zero control over it. So, long story short, what happened? 𝗙𝗎𝗃, which was receiving these grants, stopped receiving these grants. And they started the process of converting it into a non-profit organization. And they did this by giving their shares to a bigger mother company or a mother organization called Bootstrap. And Bootstrap is this non-profit organization, which was then meant to hold the shares in 𝗥𝗢𝗀𝗀𝗃 Capital. Now, what seems to have happened, and I'm reading this from the articles that have basically come out, it reads as follows. It says, we are saddened by the outcome and respect the contribution of those members who chose the same thing. Bootstrap was established as a public benefit non-profit organization to steward the Zcash mission. As such, it operates under strict legal and fiduciary obligations that govern how assets, intellectual property, and potential transactions must be structured. Over recent weeks, the board engaged in discussions regarding external investment and an alternative structure to privatize 𝗓𝗏, which is the wallet, while working with our legal counsel to ensure that we comply with US non-profit law, remain consistent with the long-term mission of Zcash, and not jeopardize the broader Zcash community. There's nothing wrong with for-profits, and such projects done well can be done in an excellent way. But Bootstrap 𝗙𝗎𝗃's non-profit constraints are real, and navigating them responsibly can be complex, particularly in the changing environment. Such transactions must be done carefully, with safeguards to ensure that the assets meant to serve the public interest, including contributions from donors who trusted the mission, continue to advance it rather than being captured for private benefit. OpenAI's recapturing drew intense scrutiny from attorneys, general former employees, and public interest groups over concerns about conflict of interest. The proposed deal in its last state introduces new vulnerabilities for politically motivated attacks on Zcash. Any of its donors could sue, etc., etc. So, without boring you with all the detail, let's read between the lines here. There is this company that was receiving grants to develop Zcash. All of a sudden, those grants stopped coming. They were getting 7% of every block, and then those grants stopped coming. And they started to try and keep motivating and keep motivating and keep motivating to get grants. Read this grant here. It says, "Hi all, Bootstrap has submitted an application for retroactive grant for our work performed since the sunset of a development fund in November 22. Please see our application here. We appreciate your consideration here." So they've been looking to get money from Zcash or from this lockbox, and there's been deadlocks as to how to release the money from the deadlock. At the same time, this company has moved under a non-profit organization, and it's become a US bureaucratic non-profit organization, and what they could and couldn't do was stifled. And so the team of developers basically said, we can't do this anymore. We can't work under all these restrictions. We're not getting paid, or we're not getting grants anyway. And so what did? They left. And as Mert says, Zcash did not lose anything. The 𝗔𝗔𝗂 did not like their board, so they started the exact same company with a different name and no board, and meaning that they are now unburdened by the politics. And so basically, this whole thing is a nothing burger. They didn't like the board. They're not getting money from the Zcash protocol anyway. And so they started a new company with a different board and said, we don't want to deal with all these restrictions of a non-profit organization and stuff like that. We're just going to go and carry on developing our own way without this bureaucracy and all this mess that comes with the board and being with a non-profit. And you can see it in many, many places. This post here, 𝗔𝗔𝗂 devs are migrating to a new company, not leaving the ecosystem. It's not all accurate to say that the core devs are gone. There's no devs anymore. And 𝗔𝗔𝗂 is just one part of the Zcash development community. There's a company called Shielded Labs. There's a Zcash Foundation. There's another project, not a company, called Project 𝗙𝗏𝗏, which is a project to scale Zcash. And all of those remain independent, right? So I think that this whole thing was completely blown out of proportion. And I think that actually nothing's really changed. These developers weren't getting paid by the miners. The money was going into the lockbox anyway. And these people are just working under a completely different umbrella. You can see that the entire team left. We are founding a new company with the same team, the same mission, and the same unstoppable private money. So nothing's changed. They just went from one holding company to another holding company. Now, this would have been a massive concern if the Zcash developers were being paid if the 𝗔𝗔𝗂 company was being paid by the protocol, and all of a sudden these developers lost their funding, then I'd say, okay, hold on, this is a big problem, because the team that was funded has now lost their funding. They weren't getting funding. Pretty much nothing's changed. Absolutely nothing's changed. Now, how do I know that this is probably a buy the dip opportunity and nothing that's wrong long term? Number one, generally, if there was something wrong long term, there's so many insiders and they would have already dumped their tokens. This is a retail dump based on headlines. This is not a dump that is based on a whole lot of people dumping their tokens, number one. Number two, we know that there are big names that are involved here. People like Winklevoss and stuff like that. And he says, you can see what he's retweeting. These guys know exactly what's going on. And he says, he's retweeting this tweet from a guy called 𝗥𝗢𝗋. Who's 𝗥𝗢𝗋? He's this young guy who used to work with Naval, and I think probably got Naval onto Zcash. And he says, no one from Zcash has quit. The entire team of developers or builders at Zcash is more aligned than ever. They understood that you can't let bureaucracy get in the way of the future of freedom. The world will get encrypted money on a planetary scale. Onward. Now, also, if you look at, if you follow Winklevoss's Twitter, he's highly incentivized for Zcash to work. Why is he highly incentivized for Zcash to work? Well, because he runs a digital asset treasury company, a DAT, which only buys Zcash. And these guys are fully behind the Zcash mission. And he retweeted this resignation or announcement from Josh. Now, think about this. If you were responsible for billions of dollars or millions of dollars and you were buying Zcash and your mission was Zcash, would you amplify a message that was bad for the protocol? Doesn't make sense. So anyone who knows what's going on basically says, look, nothing has really changed. Retail is waking up to these headlines. Which, I mean, yes, factually they're true because the devs have left the one company and started another company, same team, same funding, same everything else. They just gone from one company to another company. And the headlines are making it feel like they've gone. They quit. Okay? They quit. Sinks. The core developer team quits. That's it. That's what retail's reading. And so, in a market that's as low liquidity as the one we have now, where people are disinterested and really, really, really scared, the headlines can scare. But actually, what I tweeted after I'd done hours and hours and hours and hours of analysis on this thing and spoken to insiders and whatever else, I said this whole Zcash thing is a nothing burger. Absolutely nothing's changed. Nothing. Absolutely nothing, except that the devs have moved from one structure where there was a hostile board to another structure. The structure that they moved from isn't getting any money from the protocol anyway, because it's all going into a lockbox, and the holders of Zcash have to decide how that lockbox is actually going to be distributed. So, if you were bullish about Zcash before, nothing's changed. If you were very bearish about Zcash before, this doesn't matter to you. Let me know what you think. Reliable Analysis Network. Yeah, I really, really, really had I've done a lot of research. I should have done work today, but I've probably spent 6 or 7 hours on the phone. No, 5 hours on the phone to trying to dig up people that knew people, insiders, people only woke up a few hours ago because of New York time versus South Africa time. But I managed to get the network, and to be honest, I'm a big investor in Zcash, and obviously I've got to change my thesis accordingly. And nothing is really going on here. Nothing's really going on here. Absolutely nothing. Except that the team moved from one company, one shell to another, which is not really getting funded. All right, let's talk about the other big news, because there is other big news which can affect the markets tomorrow. And that other big news that can affect the markets tomorrow is none other than our friend Trump. Trump's tariffs are on the line tomorrow, because tomorrow the Supreme Court could rule as to whether the tariffs were legal or illegal. Now, this is a very, very, very complicated case, because Trump charged these tariffs, and there was a lot of these tariffs charged. In fact, if you want the exact numbers, I think it's about $150 billion in tariffs which were charged. It's in financial year 2025. The total tariffs were $216 billion. But remember, some of the tariffs weren't Trump tariffs. They were tariffs that were actually there before. And so now the Supreme Court tomorrow may come out, because it's not guaranteed that they're going to come out with an actual ruling tomorrow as to what's going to happen. Now, I picked up this thing from Bloomberg, and I think it's worth actually listening to this Bloomberg commentator.
To watchers out there, how it would decide this?
Well, the arguments in November, I think the consensus my view was that it was not great for the president. It wasn't definitive, but there was more skepticism than support from the justices. Now, a lot of things can change, certainly no guarantees, but there was at least the suggestion that the court was prepared to strike down both Donald Trump's reciprocal tariffs, the ones that are dealing with the trade deficit, and some more targeted ones that are designed to counter fentanyl trafficking out of a few countries, including China. It's possible we would see a split decision, and some tariffs will be upheld, others struck down. But the
point one is that we could have a split decision in the Supreme Court. We could have no decision tomorrow. We could have a split decision saying, look, some tariffs are constitutional or illegal, and some aren't legal. Now, the whole argument here comes down to the following: whether or not Trump is allowed to increase tariffs without Congress's approval, because that's what he did. He just implemented tariffs without Congress's approval. Now, that's what the Supreme Court is dealing with, and it comes down to nuances in wording. Now, listen to what the wording actually comes down to, because it's quite nuanced.
The overall tone of the argument suggested that Trump was going to lose on at least some things.
How tricky is this decision on tariffs? Because to me, it seems black and white, right? I mean, isn't Congress supposed to be involved when it comes to these kinds of things? But help me out. Understand what
going
back to the tariff decision, what is it exactly do they have to figure out?
So there is this law called 𝗥𝗡𝗋. It gives the president certain powers in cases of economic emergencies. And that law does not mention tariffs, but it does say that the president may, this is a quote, regulate importation. There's a bunch of words in between there, but those are the key words, regulate importation. And so really, yes, this is a kind of a simple case. Do those words mean tariffs? Can the president impose tariffs even though the Constitution gives that power to Congress? Now, if the Supreme Court says, yes, it does include tariffs, there are a number of other questions, a number of other arguments against Trump that the court's going to have to get through before they uphold them. But if Trump loses this case, yes, it is a pretty straightforward matter of statutory interpretation.
Okay, so long story short,
what does it mean?
They may or may not rule tomorrow, and if they do rule tomorrow, they may rule that the tariffs were legal or weren't legal. Polymarket are currently saying that there is a 24% chance that they're going to rule in favor of Trump's tariffs, which means that there's a 76% chance or 77% chance that they're going to deem them to be illegal. Now, then the question becomes, okay, if they are illegal, what are the implications? And will Trump actually have to pay them back? Will he actually have to take the $130 billion or $150 billion and actually then pay it back? And who do you actually pay it back to? So the answer is, in terms of will he have to pay them back? Maybe. Because once the court rules whether they are constitutional or not constitutional, or legal or illegal, then the question is whether they'll force him to stop the tariffs, or whether they'll say to him, you need to refund the previous tariffs. And to that end, there are a lot of importers that are basically taking Trump to court, right? Why? Because the importers are the ones that have paid the tariffs, and they are the ones that have a claim against Trump if this thing is illegal. And they are taking Trump to court to try and get their tariff money back. It's a very, very, very complicated case. We may or may not hear the final answer tomorrow. Then, if it happens, he may or may not actually have to pay it back. Then, if they rule for it to be unconstitutional, he may find another way to make the tariffs actually constitutional, because that's how this game actually works. So why are we talking about this today? Because tomorrow's Friday, and what we know that when news comes out on a Friday and there's low liquidity, there are risks that the market overreacts to news. Whatever happens tomorrow, it's pretty much a nothing burger. Because if the court rules that the tariffs are unconstitutional or illegal, okay, well then Trump will find another way. If he doesn't find another way, well, does he have to pay it back? If he does pay it back, how does he pay it back? On a claim by claim basis. And ultimately, this whole story comes down to $130 billion of tariff revenue that has already been collected. And remember that money was promised to the American people in the form of stimulus checks or a $2,000 dividend, a $2,000 stimulus check. I don't know if you guys remember that we had the $2,000 tariff dividend. He says all the money left over from the $2,000 payments. Okay, so this was effectively Trump. So I don't think we're going to get a final answer tomorrow. If we do, it comes down to whether or not they were legal or illegal. If they're illegal, what's Trump going to do about it? If they were illegal, does Trump have to actually return the money? If he does, that means we may or may not get the dividend tariff or the dividends, the stimulus that Trump spoke about in the old days. That's really all it comes down to. But beware, because there is low liquidity. There are very, very, very few people here, and small things can actually move the markets. All right, I think that's it for today, except for we have another winner in our cast card competition. So remember, I said to you guys, if you guys want a cast card is a crypto debit card. Basically, what you do is you put crypto into a wallet, and then you can spend using a debit card that is a credit debit card, which is basically linked to an app, which is the Cast app. This is a pure gold cast card, and I remember on Fridays I'm going to be giving away these pure gold ones, solid gold ones. In the meantime, I've said anyone who signs up using the link or our link, which is this link over here, anyone who signs up, and you can carry on signing up, up until the whole of next week, right? Someone says drop it. You heard it right here. So there is a link here. If you sign up using this link, every day I give away $1,000 to someone who signed up. Today's winner is, let me just get a name here. His name is 𝗙𝗏𝗏. So if you're Travis Stewart and you signed up for a card and you're watching the shows, email giveaways@cryptobanter.com, and we'll just confirm your account number, because we don't have your account number, unfortunately. And then we will deposit $1,000 into your card. And if you want to also stand a chance to get this $1,000 and get an amazing crypto card, there is the link over here. There's the link over here. Click on the link, get your card, and I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, trade well, my friends.